Hey guys, Stock Saturday, and it's rather a surprise. I was kind of bracing for a Harris win in the presidential election, and sort of lots of my portfolio is fairly tied to that, and it would sort of be a bit rough, but we've got quite the opposite, quite the extreme opposite actually. We look at the race. It's not quite finished yet. It's looking mostly like the one state left, Arizona. Trump is 6.4% ahead with 83% of the vote in. So looking most likely it'll be 312 to 226, with 270 needed for a majority. So rather overwhelmingly Trump. He got the Senate 52 to 46 from the looks of it. I think there's still a couple outstanding, but that's looking like one each, so it could be 53-47. And the House has still got a little way to go, potentially not a full red sweep, but it would be um, sort of split, basically. They can, it doesn't have to be a majority one way or the other. There's 12 uncalled races left to watch. Trump at the moment is ahead in 8. Kamala is ahead. Well, not really Kamala. Democrats are ahead in 4 of them. But so the Democrats could sort of get quite a few of these. If Democrats got all 12, it'd be 216, 212. That's not the sort of the magic number. So it looks like you can get a split house. So if the Republicans get 6 out of the 8 that they're currently ahead in, then they would get the 218 sort of majority that they're calling it. I suppose if you have more seats than the Democrats, it is still a majority, even if you don't get to 218. But that seems to be the way they call it. Some of these are incredibly close from the looks of it. You've got sort of Iowa nearly done, 99% done, but they're 0.2% away. California, one of the Californias is looking like Republicans are winning, which seems a bit balmy, considering their lead in the main vote. But yeah, like one of California, 26% of votes still to be counted, and they're 0.4% away. So yeah, we'll have to see. From what everything I've read, a sort of full red sweep, essentially means Trump can enact pretty much all of his manifesto with little pushback. A lot of people were sort of expecting a split, maybe a Senate controlled by the Republicans and a Harris win, and that's sort of seen as better for the economy. This is full on tariffs, deporting migrants and all sorts, and potentially whacking up inflation. At the sort of expense of, with growth at the expense of inflation, really. It seems to be wanting to grow their way out of debt, and, that's the way he wants to run, and he's allowed to run if he gets a full red sweep. So we'll have to see what happens. So this did absolute wonders for the portfolio. I'm up 21 and a bit percent this week, 68,000 quid. So yes, very nice. Crypto is up sort of similarly, which I'll come to tomorrow. Compared to the markets did break all-time highs. The S&P did get to the magic 6,000 and sort of pulled back slightly under it. I expect there's an enormous amount of psychological selling at the 6,000, but it's up 4.7% for the week. And yeah, Nasdaq is up 5.52%. So yeah, everyone sort of seemingly bullish about Trump. So we've had first full week of the month, and we've had the crypto mining updates. CleanSpark, a little bit unusual. They sort of seem to have a good October report, but the stock was halted for all of yesterday. They have come out and said this was due to a calculation error with warrants regarding sort of the acquisition of grid infrastructure, and it's nothing to do with the company. So yeah, I was expecting either some sort of very bad news, like an accounting error, a bad accounting error on the financials or something, or that I thought maybe they'd acquired something or been acquired. I can't imagine who would have acquired them, but they might have made an acquisition and it's halted for some reason. But yeah, hopefully it just opens back up sort of Monday or Tuesday after they've cleared up this warrant issue and it doesn't drop. But yeah, at least on the October update, it was looking pretty solid. They mined 655 Bitcoin. Guessing this is including Grid's numbers now, but I didn't think they were doing quite that much. But yeah, 655 is very, very solid. I'm still not selling much of anything. They sold 2.7, and yeah, they're now holding 8,701 on the balance sheet, which is an incredible number for where they were, sort of at the beginning of the year. So very happy with that. And ended the month at 31.3 exahash with a fleet efficiency of 20.89, which is pretty good. They've been buying sort of some very, very efficient machines, and yeah, the centers that they're bought from Grid, they're looking to put S21 Pro miners in, and the Wyoming site, they're looking to put S21 Immersion XPs. So it's the very, very latest, and yeah, adding sort of all manner of hash rate, which I do sort of keep thinking is just pushing difficulty up, but yeah, maybe they're sort of taking market share from the Chinese and from sort of various other places. But yeah, I am kind of obviously long term. I've made the point that I probably won't be. I'll be getting out of miners and probably most likely never back in again, because I do just see all manner of countries and energy companies and other companies mining that either don't care about the energy price, or they have surplus energy and sort of basically consider that side of it free. So they just buy rigs and mine, and their sort of cost, in theory, cost to mine, they see as just the cost of the rig. So it might be $30,000 per Bitcoin, $25,000, which is far lower than any of the public miners. So they'll be happy. Sort of difficulty going up, they'll still be profitable long after the public miners like CleanSpark and Riot become unprofitable. So yeah, it's not a long-term plan. It's a plan for this cycle and then get out. And then we had Riot, still lagging from the looks of it. A little poor, to be honest. We had the update in their quarterly report that they'd sort of pulled back guidance quite significantly. And yeah, the October numbers sort of show that. Was expecting them to be up at CleanSpark's numbers, and then CleanSpark come out with their 655. What was it? Yeah, 655. And Riot are at 505. So not ideal, up from 412 in September, but yeah, still not what I was hoping for. They're now up to 10,928 Bitcoin on the balance sheet. So as I say, CleanSpark are kind of catching them up. And they're up to 15, well, stayed at 15 exahash deployed in Rockdale, up to 13 in Corsicana, and up ever so slightly in Kentucky. Operating has come up a bit, replacing old miners in Rockdale, up from 9.7 to 10.5. Corsicana, this is average, so yeah, I'm guessing Corsicana is at 13 now operating. This is average for the month. And yeah, Kentucky looks like is probably up to 1.4. So yeah, they're probably looking at 25 operating hash rate now, where CleanSpark are at 31.3, and maybe a little bit more now, as we're obviously the 9th. So yeah, they still lagging behind CleanSpark. Power credits are quite a bit down as well, $300,000, and demand response credits of $700,000, so $1 million in total. This is obviously coming out of the summer period. August, September was sort of reasonable earning months for that. 2.2 million in September. So they're back up to just under 4 cent power, and yeah, they sort of reiterated this rather poorer guidance. Sort of Q1 2025. They're saying 35.3 exahash, so it's a little bit above where CleanSpark are now, sort of in March. So yeah, we kind of thought of Riot as the quite heavily expanding miner, and they're not really. Well, they're saying by September next year they're looking at 38.8, where sort of CleanSpark are obviously looking at 50, sort of sounds like before the end of next year. Riot do show by the end of next year sudden spike up to 46.7. That was 56 sort of a couple of months ago, and then 75 for 2026. So yeah, we'll have to see. I still think they can do well, and there's money to be made, but yeah, it's looking a little bit worse than what they previously showed. And we have Hive, my little miner. They're sort of not making the best decisions, I don't think, but yeah, I still think from a value basis they look reasonably good. Mined 117 Bitcoin, so a lot smaller than Riot and CleanSpark. It's 1% increase month over month. They're still not into aggressively expanding and sort of diluting a ton, although they are diluting. HODL position is now up to 2,624, so they're still not. They're still selling a little bit from the looks of it to fund new machines, and yeah, they reached 5.6 exahash. It looks like by the end of the month. Fleet efficiency of 22.3, so they're not too far off CleanSpark. And yeah, they recently began construction of the new facility in Paraguay. So yeah, this is sort of set to double hash rate, and yeah, I'd kind of rather they weren't, to be honest. But there you go. It's dilution to sort of expand by September next year, when I'm kind of expecting the bull run to be almost over. So not the best time to be launching that, but yeah, we'll have to see. I expect people will still be bullish even in September if we're at sort of all-time highs, and it might be a decent time to get out anyway, but we'll have to see. They're issuing 2.4 million restricted share units to everyone, and this aligned long-term incentives with shareholder interests. I'm not quite sure how they would consider that. I suppose if officers, directors, and employees sort of all want the share price to go up, then that's a good thing. But obviously, 2.4 million shares is quite a bit. Not a lot of detail on the AI side, which is a little bit of a shame. I guess they'll give that in the Q3 results, which are next week. So yeah, Hive, not the best, but I still think they can do well. Got the first monthly report from TSMC for Q4, sort of giving a nice indication as to how the semiconductor stocks are going to perform. We got 314 billion Taiwan dollars, which is dramatically up on certainly the beginning of the year, and quite a bit up on the last few quarters. 251 in September. This is 29% up on last year, which is slowing down a little, but earlier in the year they had 30% years, and sort of slightly higher in the summer. But yeah, 30% up on last year is incredibly good, really. When they said, I keep sort of reiterating, they said 2024 was going to be a flat to maybe slightly down year, and yeah, they just seem to have sort of underestimated the AI demand, crazy AI demand. And I mean, you can see this in their top 10 customers. Nvidia used to be sort of I think 5-6% of revenue. They're now 10.11% of revenue. AMD still reasonably big. Broadcom at 6.45 now. Apple, obviously the big daddy, at 25%. I think they were sort of 23 before. They seem to have no interest whatsoever in Samsung or Intel or anyone else. It's just all in TSMC. So they've obviously got their homemade M4, M3 chips now in the Macs and iPhones and everything. So they don't outsource sort of pretty much any of their chips anymore on the main sort of CPU side. So they are coming to TSMC and sort of some of their other chips. Obviously, they're using people like Broadcom anyway. So probably Apple's total contribution is, I would think, closer to 30% if you take everyone in. And I like that we've had Amazon climb into the top 10 as well. I mean, if you think about it, they're doing sort of about 11-12% of Nvidia's revenue. About a ninth of Nvidia's revenue. So not someone I would have expected to see in there. I know sort of them and Google and other people are designing their own chips and having TSMC make them, but yeah, didn't expect them to be top 10. So thought that was good news. And then economic news for the week. This is sort of obviously largely overshadowed by the election, but we had some bits and pieces, sort of the non-manufacturing PMI, which is sort of the big US indicator, 56, up from 54.9, which was a strong number last month anyway. It was expected to decline to 53.8, and we've got a 56, which is incredibly strong. So, yeah, US economy, going into a Trump presidency. We'll have to see where this goes, but yeah, looking pretty crazy. 53 on non-manufacturing employment, and basically everything sort of quite significantly above 50, which is always good news. And the GDP now, provisionally figures for Q4, 2.4%. So we're saying Q3 was stronger than this. Q4 is sort of slightly slower. I see this as I mentioned last week, pretty good news. It means if it sort of comes down a little bit lower, they might put a little bit more stimulus in, and they're still sort of, printing with Trump's policies. So yeah, slower growth but still significantly positive is good news. We got the Bank of England rate cut, as expected, the 0.25%. And, on the Fed as well, we got 0.25%. So us and the Bank of England are on par now. We haven't been on par for quite a while. Continuing jobless claims slightly up, but initial claims slightly down, or slightly lower than expectations, slightly up from last month. And these numbers are getting revised as always, but it's not a lot in it. GDP now thing went up again, and that was pretty much it for economic news. So the crypto side is what has seen most of the gain. Gold and silver sort of didn't particularly like the election. We'll come to gold miner earnings next week. But yeah, Coeur Mining and Equinox sort of not really down sort of a huge amount, but not really moved anywhere. Sort of got a $80 gold down move on election day. There's sort of all manner of stuff happening. I'm seeing this as an opportunity to maybe buy a little bit more in the option side, but yeah, CleanSpark and Riot sort of having incredible days. Riot was up 24%. I think CleanSpark was up about 23%. So we had Coinbase moving and all sorts. Hive, I think, moved 12%, and then the others had a slower day, and Hive moved up another 11%. So they're still sort of keeping pace, looking good. I've got my sort of other REITs still not looking all that good. American Tower dropped on the election, sort of thinking higher rates for longer, potentially more sort of inflation. Not really looking great for them. They don't really like the higher borrowing because they have like $38 billion in debt, which isn't helpful. I expect they would rather lower rates, but there you go. Similarly with Vici, really, although it's only a smaller position now. Similar story with Pan American, obviously, still at 22.64, looking pretty good. KGHM down a little. We had sort of I think 22-cent down day on copper on the news. Sort of tariffs on China, I presume, and China, not looking all that great. They had their stimulus announcement, and it wasn't sort of particularly hot. Process in the investor count did drop a little on that news as well. Sort of not nothing too special. It was mostly sort of bank refinancing and that sort of thing. Not too much effect on the stock market is thinking, but we'll see if they do any more. And yeah, the option side, bought a sort of 5 contracts. It's not really a huge addition to this position, but bought 5 the day before the election, so that was pretty good. Pretty good small buy. They were at sort of $47. They're now $92 each, so it's like double in 3 days for a small purchase. But yeah, they're looking good. £48,000 position now. It's just sort of rapidly growing. Riot at 36,000 now. Pretty good. They're both sort of pushed up way up to 80% from sort of what were losing positions just like a couple of weeks ago. And Equinox did go into the positive, so not looking too bad. I've been buying January 2027 options, so yeah, giving me the next 2 years for gold to continue to do well, hopefully, and them to get more profitable. And yeah, Coeur Mining sort of come back. I sort of dropped a bit on the acquisition news, and they're sort of looking reasonable again. Hopefully we get a decent move on silver. And yeah, Hymax sort of not doing a lot. Fortuna not doing a lot. But I do have 6,000, so I had about 7,500 in cash, down to 6,000 with a few buys. And yeah, waiting to see what I will sort of deploy this on. Most likely more Equinox, because I don't really want to be chasing the crypto move upwards. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, what you're buying, or if you're buying anything after this election result, or taking profits on anything. And yeah, be interesting. So like and subscribe, and see you soon.